On a deserted road at the edge of the city, a single father made a choice that would ruin his quiet life forever, or save it in ways he couldn't imagine. What he didn't know was that the weak, bleeding girl in his arms was the key to a secret powerful enough to shake billionaires, break empires, and rewrite the meaning of family. Stay until the end, because the final truth changes everything you think this story is about. Ethan Cole had learned long ago that life didn't warn you before it took something away. His wife had passed the same way. Sudden, unfair, and on a lonely road no one else seemed to notice. Since then, he drove carefully, lived quietly, and focused on the only thing that mattered: his 8-year-old son, Noah. That night, rain fell like the sky was grieving. Ethan's old pickup rattled as he drove home from his second job, exhaustion pressing down on him heavier than the dark clouds above. The road was empty, stretching endlessly ahead when something appeared in his headlights. A body. Ethan slammed the brakes. His heart pounded as he jumped out. Lying on the roadside was a young woman no older than 20, her pale dress soaked with mud and blood. Her breathing was shallow, her lips trembling as if she were fighting to stay in this world. Most people would have hesitated, called someone else, driven away. Ethan didn't. He lifted her into his arms without thinking, his muscles burning as memories of loss surged through him. "You're not dying here," he whispered, though he had no idea if that was true. At the nearest hospital, doctors rushed her into surgery. Hours passed. Ethan sat alone, soaked and shaking, replaying the moment he'd found her. When a nurse finally approached, her expression was serious. She's critical," she said. "If you hadn't brought her in when you did, she wouldn't have made it this far." Ethan nodded, relief and fear colliding inside him. He never noticed the black SUV that had slowly rolled past the hospital entrance. He didn't see the men inside, staring at security screens, replaying footage of him carrying the girl inside. And he had no idea that somewhere a billionaire father was losing his mind, believing his daughter had been dead for weeks. The girl's name was Lily, or at least that's what she whispered when she finally woke. She had no phone, no ID, and no memory of how she'd ended up on that road. She cried quietly when she realized she was alive, gripping Ethan's hand like it was the only real thing left in her world. Ethan visited every day. He brought her soup, told her about Noah, listened when she woke from nightmares, gasping and afraid. Something about her felt familiar, not because he knew her, but because he recognized her loneliness. Days later, strangers arrived. They wore expensive suits and fake smiles. They asked questions that didn't sound like concern. They sounded like interrogation. Really? Ethan felt it in his bones. Something wasn't right. That night, Lily remembered not everything, just enough. A private car, an argument, a sudden stop on a dark road, someone opening the door and pushing her out. Then, nothing. Ethan reported it. The news exploded. Within hours, the truth surfaced. Lily wasn't just missing. She was the only daughter of one of the wealthiest men in the country, kidnapped during a corporate power struggle, and presumed dead after weeks of silence. Her face flooded every screen. The hospital filled with security. Lawyers appeared. Guards stood outside her door. Her father arrived in tears, collapsing when he saw her alive. But Lily looked past him. She looked at Ethan. "You stayed," she whispered. "When you didn't have to." The billionaire offered Ethan money, more than Ethan had ever imagined. A reward, a thank you, a clean way out. Ethan refused. "Emmy's son needs a father who does the right thing," he said quietly. "Not one who gets paid for it." The world heard that sentence. Weeks later, Lily left the hospital, surrounded by protection, but she never forgot the man who saved her when no one else would. Ethan returned to his quiet life, believing the story was over. It wasn't. Months later, a letter arrived, not a check, an invitation. Lily had created a foundation in Ethan's wife's name, supporting struggling single parents, funding hospitals on forgotten roads, and ensuring no one would be left alone the way she almost was. Ethan stood beside his son at the opening ceremony, tears in his eyes. He hadn't saved a billionaire's daughter, he had saved a human being. And in doing so, he taught the world a lesson it desperately needed to remember.